Ashville Weekly 205, another page in the novel. Foot to the throttle and can't lose our bottle. Stress and no sleep have you feeling old as a fossil as we fight and push forward with the new yard remodel, treating our new train track like this intro and filling with waffle. It's Monday morning, we're in the yard. The time is 5:31 a.m. Having a chat with every driver before they go out on the road. Tesla's here as well, over there, trying to get the forklift started to remove it from the gate. We are doing toolbox talks, having a refresher about the importance of not using mobile phones while you're driving. I'm not saying anyone did, we're just having a refresher to tell them why it's so important, and that everybody should be wearing their seatbelt the entire time when they're in the vehicle, not putting it behind them. Now, I'm not saying that anybody did. I'm saying let's just remind everyone on the importance and let them know that it won't be tolerated here, because we want everybody to be safe on the road. It's going to be a very good week and we are trying to start it positively. I have a meeting at 7 a.m. with Dudek with some railway work that we need to discuss. I've got another meeting at 8 o'clock. We got machines ready to go out and the lads have just started to get in. Ah, Maddie, we need to have a chat. Thank you, Maddie. Terry's got the forklift fired up. Good morning, sir.
Morning, mate, you right?
How you doing? Not bad. Spent most of it in here, but one could argue that that is a good weekend.
That's it, mate, isn't it?
Quick one, can we have a chat about something, please?
Of course you can.
Ben is here. Good morning, good sir. That is another conversation altogether, but don't go anywhere. We put this machine on here, but it is not tied down. So when you come over here, don't say, oh, tried to tie this down. So when you get back from your tip and return first, yeah. Thanks, mate. Good morning, Terry. The IQ looks like it's gone up 200%. He's got the specs on this morning. We like them specs. We have places going on Thursday evening. So Terry will have to get the trim. If you click here to watch a previous episode of Weekly, he's not going to go to the same barber because he cut it too short. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. How are we, Flo?
Good, very good.
How are we doing, Tayo? Morning. If you watch Weekly of last week, you'll see that we set up our safe pedestrian entrance. We'll compact this material. I may end up putting a finer material on top of it. We'll just see how it reacts when it's been whackered down and it's had time to settle. It should bind together and create one surface without any trip hazards. But if it doesn't, we'll work around it. Very good, sir. Have a good day. There's 5 concrete lorries out today, but we ran out of stone on Saturday, so we weren't able to load them all for Monday morning. Quarry which we're using at the moment, their crusher is down and they weren't able to create any stone. However, they managed to get the plant up and running. So first job, we've had to send the tippers to go and collect stone and bring it back so we can load the concrete lorries. So let's hope that there isn't a lot of traffic on the road at the moment, because that will really slow down our day, which should be busy. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This concludes our toolbox talk. Video team on in yet? Look at that. We have a team coming in on Friday who are going to fit this waffle board. We need to get in treated timber, cut it down, 2 of them together, and screw it into these sleepers. We can run it that way, or you can have it this way so you can sit on the track ballast. There's no point trying to make a diving board. It's not going to be a concrete diving board. Click here to watch that video. That's the level we need. And the timber will sit there and timber will sit here. And when the guys come for the waffle board, they'll do the clips and they'll attach it. Now, the first locomotive is next Monday. The first part is extremely simple. I just need Dudek to change the lock on the turnstile. But the work in this area is going to be a lot more labor intensive. So firstly, we're moving all of the track ballast and we're trying to get it as level as we possibly can. It's not going to be perfect. And then I'm going to get some jersey barriers and close off this area down here, and the material which is on the outside of it, throw it onto the other side, and also try and get that as level as possible. Dudek's gone up to have a look at the lovely timber which I saved from the shuttering work when we were working on pouring the concrete in the track area. But we have put the timber underneath the framework. So we're going to have to take the framework off, pull out the timber underneath, and then put it all back. The shovel's too big to be delicate, so we just used it for the mass shift to take some material off the side. That's as close as we're going to go. I don't want to go any closer. And we've just piled the material here. Now we'll have to use a small excavator to begin to spread this material, and this will form the base for the jersey barriers. We still have the hammer attachment for the 926 on hire, and we're using it to break out damaged concrete blocks which cannot be reused. In the old yard, we're going to break out the concrete around the steps which used to go up to the transport and operations office. A couple of weeks back in Weekly, I was standing over there and I was having a little moan about the fact that I didn't know another industry where the price of everything keeps going up, but the price of the job goes down. But I was incorrect, and I was silly, and I owe an apology to the agriculture industry. How ignorant of me to not consider your predicament, which is a lot worse than construction. And let's have it right, the agriculture industry and farms in this country keep us all going and keep us fed, and you are getting a very raw deal. There's nothing I can actually do to change it, but I would wholeheartedly like to apologize and say that I should have recognized it and it won't happen again. Now, Ben is loading up the machine you saw earlier and dropping it to site. On the 586 shovel, we noticed that diesel was coming out of it, so we ordered a new fuel cap for it with a seal. But when we tried to put it on, it wouldn't work because there was damage on the spout. However, used a bit of persuasion, managed to straighten the spout out of it, and then managed to get the diesel cap on, so that is secure. Next problem, there's a grease hose which is gone, and one of the main bushes isn't getting any grease, which means it's going to wear down and be destroyed after too long. Weekly, a very long time back, we had a gentleman in helping us remove those bushes. It is not easy, and preventive maintenance is better than a cure. So we've called a company in to change the grease hose. We were going to take it off and put a manual point that we could grease every morning, but if we can change the hose from the auto greasing system, we prefer to do it that way.
New grease hoses on, we were just testing, rotated a bucket to ensure that the new hose was long enough and it wasn't changing anything. But while I was doing that, I jumped in and I noticed that the catch is gone.
Harrier grabs. That is my mate Aidan. when I first wanted to start lorries, he sat me down and talked me through and introduced me to the gentleman you saw last week servicing our cranes. He introduced me to my townie. He introduced me to lorries altogether. That's why I used to buy DAFs in the beginning, because he ran DAFs. And he's come in to collect a bit of Type 1. Harrier grabs, my pal Aiden. Nice to see him in there, collecting some material. Last week on Saturday, you saw me rummaging around, looking at parts that had come in from Liebherr. We're gonna fit them now onto the 926. This is the solenoid, the Y3. I thought that we were ordering an entire dead man. It is not. It is just this. This is basically the contact that means that when the dead man is up, it knows it's up and it knows it's down. The one there is a bit finicky, it's not working all of the time, it's temperamental, and sometimes the machine won't start. And you think to yourself, why is the machine not starting? It's because of this. We also have the knock sensor for the L860, what we'll put on afterwards. And I have ordered for the 586 the outer door catch, and I'm trying to order a couple of keys also. New one and old one side by side, taking the cables out of one, putting them into the other. Here's the old one, and here's the new one. This 926 is now good to go. Dudek's back already, in preparation for tomorrow. See, we said 8x2, but he had a better idea. He ordered these sleepers, which are 4-inch and 2.4 meters long. It's actually cheaper to have these rather than getting 2 bits of timber and screwing them together and try and putting them in place. And it's actually less work. You're just cutting once instead of cutting twice. So, what screws did you get? Oh! All right. Okay, well, these will be going nowhere. The time is 9 minutes to 4. We're very low on material, so we can't load the concrete lorries. So I'm heading to a local quarry to grab 1 load of sand. If I get this load, we should be able to load 2 concrete lorries in the morning until the tippers go out, and then come back with a couple of loads of stone and sand. We're about to start moving the barriers, the Jersey barriers, for the new track area with waffle board. I gotta go. You know when you go somewhere else and you're checking their weighbridge game and their traffic system game? I'm not gonna lie, the game is strong in here. They had traffic lights and they had an intercom. Everything was stainless steel and yellow and nice. There's a one-way system. Got a couple of cat shovels. Haven't seen a cat shovel in a while. And I am now being loaded with sand. I've been in here for about 2 minutes and it's now 4 p.m. and they close at 4 p.m. So they didn't turn me away just before the day was over, as I've seen done in some other quarries. But the lads in here are very nice. I'm back with the sand. I have to tip the sand off and then get loaded for the morning with some recycled material. Liebherr just sent through some drawings to order the parts. I need 2 of number 2. And the second drawing, I need 1 of 180, 1 of 190, and 1 of 200. Oh yeah, love that. Love that. It's Tuesday morning and I'm in the yard. The time is 5:45 a.m. We managed to load 2 concrete lorries last night. I'm just having a look. And from what I can see here, we could probably scrape together loads for another 2, which means that 1 won't be loaded, but it means that the lads can get out of the yard nice and early and we can start to hit some of these concrete pours. Liebherr are going to be in here today and they're going to be carrying out upgrades to the machines which aren't because of breakdowns. It's called an SI. It's basically when a part is superseded or the factory make a recommendation on something which should be changed. The trouble we've been having with machines, part of it is our maintenance. And I'm gonna take that on the chin. I'm not gonna say this person didn't do this and this person didn't do that and that person didn't do that. And I ain't having that anymore with machines sitting around not working. Obviously, some things are unavoidable, but I'm gonna make sure as best I possibly can that I prevent, yes, good morning, that I prevent any problems happening with these machines and I try to keep them working. Is Ben in a baby grab, is he? Just trying to finish off the barriers in the track area, but there are a couple of the barriers which are a bit uneven, so we're just lifting corners and parts of it slightly and then we're packing with material underneath to get it there or thereabouts. Not 100% level, but something which is decent and doesn't look like we parked our horses up at the front gate and came in. Liebherr are in the yard, and I think I'm going to start the work with the 926. If I start with a 926, when they go to do work on the 914, at least we'll still have a machine which can continue to excavate or move material. That is the plan. Nice to see the lads from the build firm here, and the work is progressing nicely on the train tracks. Please put it over there and then slew round so you put the bucket here. Thank you. Perfect. We're having a new AdBlue suction module and a knock sensor. There's also a rubber seal for one of the panels. And I don't know what that's about, but I am not going to turn down Liebherr doing work on one of our machines. Quick test. Let's see the clearance there. Okay, we like that. Is this stopping the movement? No, it is not. Perfect. Managed to have a look at our fateful whacker plate. The carburetor was completely blocked from dirty fuel. So we took it off, we cleaned all the jets, put it back on, new oil, new fuel, and it works like a dream. I'm now just gonna buy a couple of spark plugs. I'm gonna buy a new pull cord, and I'm going to buy a new air filter. It can work for now, but we're gonna put those on anyway and keep a couple spare. And that's another bit of plant in the yard, which is working again. So we're done with the work on the 926. It's a quick substitution. Out goes the 926 to work. In comes the 914 for some repairs. This is the area where we're gonna have our car park. We got a bit of material here that needs to be shifted. We've cleared the top layer. We don't want the shovel running round with the bucket empty ever. Return loads, just like we want for the lorries. So we are arriving with 6F5, we're piling it here, and then the material on this side, we're taking it and we're only moving it round to the back of this pile in order to make the space here. I can only put the 566 on this back and forth, but hopefully by tomorrow afternoon or even Thursday morning, possibly, we'll have both the loading shovels on this and the 926 over here spreading. And now you see that the whacker is working, so we can whacker this down. If this had heavier traffic, we couldn't use our little whacker on it, but because this is only for cars, it should be all right. LH60 time, what is not going to be a 5-minute job. Firstly, around the slew ring, the top bolts, all of those need to be taken out. There's a new bolt which goes in with a new torque setting. Factory have recommended it. In the cab, both of the controls, right and left, they need to be earthed, and there's a software update which should make it run a lot better. I'm very happy that all of this is getting done. When using it, you're not going to feel any different, but it means that a problem which may occur in a year's time, in 2 years' time, in the middle of offloading a train, should now be avoided. Come on, work those arms. No power steering. Well, we've dragged over the forklift. The poor old girl needs some attention. I think, we hope, that it's the transmission. If we're lucky, which we don't feel lucky, it may be a seal on the transmission. If not, we may need to send the transmission off. But 100%, I don't care how old it is, I'm gonna fix this. This is one of the good ones, without all the sensors all over it and all the problems. Little problem though. In order to get the clearance on the transmission, if you drop it down to get it underneath, we'll have to remove either the fuel tank or the hydraulic tank, but we prefer to move the fuel tank because it has less connections on it. So we're gonna go ripping and stripping and see what we can do and get this old forklift back to work.
Ben's just loading up a 9-ton machine, just checking our height, which is 15'7", which is fine. He's gonna drop this bin. Then he's gonna head to the site you saw him at a couple of weeks ago, where he exchanged the 20-yard bin, where there's now a 40-yard bin. He's gonna leave them the empty flatbed, tip and return their 40-yard bin, come back, put the flatbed on, and then go and collect another machine and bring it back.
Time is 7:24 p.m. I'm just taking a drive around the yard. I noticed that Ben's loaded for the morning, and on his travels he's managed to get me a couple more yellow steps, but I doubt he's had the time to offload them. A couple of emails came through towards the end of the day. The office you saw me look at last week, I sent them some rams and they would like me to redo them. But these are not the rams to move it, these are the rams to do the investigation work, just to look at it. But I have to redo it because apparently it wasn't clear. Okay, I'm not going to argue. I'm not in charge on that matter. And then I had another email come through, which is another huge problem. But I think I'm going to have to stop mentioning this problem, because within it, they're trying to use the videos against me. So everything I share, which I say, look, this is what I'd like to do, this is where we want to go, they're using the videos as a reference, and they're CCing a lot of people and said,
in this video you said this, so this means that you should do this.
And it's just, I'm just trying to share my aspirations and what I'd like to do in the future. And it's detrimental sometimes. So on that particular subject, I think I'm gonna have to hold back, because next thing I know, they're gonna say,
in this video you were talking about me and I've taken offense to it, and this is...
It's just so, you know, when you just wanna crack on and you just wanna try and make things work, and no matter what you do, people just have obstacles, and the obstacles they're creating, they don't actually gain anything out of it. They're just overcomplicating things and finding ways to interpret laws and rules in a way which makes life difficult for you, but they don't benefit in any way whatsoever from it. They're still going to get paid the same thing. They could interpret it in any way, but they choose to interpret it in a way to make your life difficult. Oh yeah, and because you may have to pay them money. Aha. Aha. And that's it for Tuesday. It's Wednesday morning. We're in the yard. Shows how much I know. The kit I saw on the back of Ben, what I thought was going out, was actually collected, and he brought it back. So that's not so good. And he has another collection to go and do now, which I don't like. I like it when we go and deliver the machines and put them on hire. How nice of you to join us today, Ben. Another episode of Benefit My Life. No way whatsoever, but give myself work to do. No, wrong step. Yeah, I need a small one, please. A load of cement has turned up already. Nicely done by the driver, the way he got in. We have 200 meters of concrete on today, so it's essential that we get a good start. Little swap there. Yeah. Thank you, Ben. There we have it. A replacement step, which will now mean I get to sleep at night and will generate absolutely no additional revenue whatsoever. But fantastic. The steps now all match. Simon has fitted my step in place. I am most happy with my step. Ben has already gone out and come back with another load of machines, and unfortunately he's got to go out and collect another machine and bring it back to the yard. We carry on putting the timber in place to prepare for the waffle board. ripping and stripping on the forklift going well, and I have now seen that Liebherr have turned up to continue with the work which they started yesterday on the LX60. Saw Ollie limping away there in the volumetric. The fourth diff, it looks like it's the bearing inside or whatever or the shaft has collapsed and it's completely destroyed. That lorry's going nowhere. We haven't been busy. We've got 200 meters on of concrete today. We've got one with the engine gone. So Ollie's going up to the top yard. He's going to run the belt, get the material off so the lorry's light and Scania have been called. Until they start ripping and stripping, we don't know what's exactly wrong with it, but it could need to be recovered. Oh, this is just slow. Anyway, let me try and remain positive. We do have some electric and water work to do amidst all the madness. Remember a few weeks back, the manifold that we took off for the sprinkler system in the old yard, and we fitted it here. This water tower and that water tank are connected, but we still have 3 connection points on our manifold. Am I losing my mind? I was sure there was another one here. I guess the flashback now will show when this was installed, if there was another one, or if I'm losing my mind, or I can't count. Anyway, we are going to connect to one of these. We're going to run a pipe over to the workshop. Inside the workshop, we're going to have a tap, but then we're going to have sprinklers on the front of the scaffold, and we're going to have one of these valves to turn the sprinklers on and off, because that is a high traffic area where lorries will be turning when they go onto the weighbridge and when they come off the weighbridge. So this will act as a bit of dust suppression. This is the pipe that you saw us winding up a couple of weeks ago when we took it out of the back of the RSJ steels behind the material base. You see, it did come in handy. This is the manifold, which was previously down by the bagging plant. We've bolted it into the ground, and this will be our miniature substation. Everything in this area will be connected at this point, including the fuel tank and the wheel wash. And then we're going to have some lights along the side here, as we previously did. Then we're going to put a floodlight on each side at the front here, a floodlight on each side here so we shine onto the train track, and probably one on the other side as well to shine into the area where we have the steel stillage. Then we'll connect our little security hut, which means that my town will be able to charge his batteries. Then all of the containers will also be connected so we can plug in any of our tools, and so we have light. Yes. This tipper, yesterday there was smoke coming off the brakes. Driver parked it up and the hub was leaking oil. This is going back to Scania. At the same time, Ollie has just offloaded the material. He's having a washout. Now we need to get this lorry as light as possible. So Ollie's gonna dump the water to get another 2 ton off the lorry, but there's 4 ton of cement in it, but we can't take the cement out without dashing it on the floor. Paying £170 a ton for something we're just gonna dash on the floor isn't gonna happen. Ollie will then nurse that lorry over to here and park in this exact same way. So when the next recovery lorry comes out, to collect it, he's in the right position that it can lift from the rear. But before it does that, they're going to do us a favor because they're taking pity on us and they're feeling sorry for us. And the other volumetric with the engine gone, they're going to lift that up from the front and they're going to bring it round to the workshop for us and they're going to reverse it in so we can begin to take a look at that. Liebherr leaving. They managed to get 16 of the bolts done. It took a while to actually get the kit set up in order to do it. I think there's 56 or something like that in total. They got their work cut out from tomorrow, but I'm sure they'll get it done. The pull cord handles arrived, all 4 of them. And this is the oh man, these are going to do mad algebra and everything. This is the repair track link for the 926. If you remember, on bank holiday it snapped and we've put a pin in it and welded it just to hold it, kept the tracks clean, and it seems to be working well at the moment, but that is not a long-term solution. So we're going to need to put these in there. It's Thursday morning and I'm in the rainy yard. The weather has taken a turn. We've managed to get the transmission out of the forklift, which was very difficult. There are no plates on it whatsoever, so we can't tell what it is. I contacted the company we use to refurbish these, HL Smith. They're going to let us know if they recognize it and what a refurbishment may cost. Plenty of ripping and stripping in trying to get this out. Liebherr have just pulled into the yard. They are now going to continue with the slew ring bolts on the LH60. Found a little problem on the inspection. There's a pipe that goes on to the exhaust which measures the differential. It basically tells the system if the DPF is blocked or not. Now, the pipe is cracked and needs to be replaced, but where the pipe is cracked means we can't replace it because it's on the casing. I'm sorry I can't show it to you. It's all the way around the back there. I can barely get to it. I've got a picture which I can show you here. People do sometimes weld it, but if you get it wrong, then the machine will start throwing up all sorts of problems and the machine won't operate properly. Trouble is, we need to change all of the casing now because we can't fit the pipe back on because of where the pipe was broken, and it's pouring down with rain and I'm in shorts. Anyway, this rain today it showed us that we need to change the wipers on the 586. We don't need the motor, but we need the other two parts. We've ordered that, and that's coming tomorrow, and I'm getting absolutely drenched. I'm out of here. Ah! Oh, this is just great, isn't it? HL Smith have got back to me, and the transmission is something they have seen in the past. They can collect on Monday or Tuesday, and it will cost between 1,500 and 2.5 grand to repair, which I think is reasonable, but we won't know until they actually take it apart and see exactly what's going on in there. We use a system to run all of the lorries, which integrates with our Sage accounting system. It is a good system. We use it a lot. It enables us to take records when we pull up at a job. We can take pictures and everything feeds in, so we double check with manual paperwork, and it speeds up our invoicing process. However, we have come to that part of the year when it's renewal time, and then I look at how much it costs and I think, and this is annually. Now you got to pay this every year. Not to mention if they decide to add anything on, or inflation, and it's pretty much ongoing. There's no way that you're never going to have to pay it yearly, because if you don't pay it, you don't get to keep the system. And it begs the question, is it better to pay on a yearly basis for a system which works, or is it better to spend the time and the money and work on a system which is perfected, that you can use in-house, and once it's done, it's paid for? Now, no system's ever done 100%. There's always going to be ways to improve it. There's always going to be glitches. There's always going to be problems with software, servers. But at least you know where you stand. And if the system is working and you don't change anything for 3 years, and then you make a list of any issues, and then you get like a computer brain box in, like a programmer, to fix the issues whenever they arise, is that a better option than paying yearly tens of thousands of pounds for a subscription? However, I'm not saying that the one you're paying the subscription for doesn't work, because it does. And you do have support, and they do all the updates. And if you do have a problem, they can address it immediately. What do you do? It's difficult to know what the right thing to do is. Anyway, Ben is arriving back in the yard with a machine, and straight away he's going to load up another one and head back to site. Chris just managed to change the valve on the water filler. This is a box we made with insulation, so when it gets really cold out, it doesn't freeze the water which is in the pump. Unfortunately, because of that, when you need to change anything here, you have to completely dismantle the box, but it's 100% worth it. The last one, when you got it to here, there was still a trickle of water, and you had to push it against this, and it was all over the place. Now we have a brand new one which is extremely tight, and when you bring it to this point, it completely cuts off the water, and we don't have any more wastage. The lads behind me just here, they look like they're ramming a stake for a vampire's heart. They're beginning to put the track system in. We need to run a cable round to the manifold here. So we'll put the same kind of track tray system in that we did behind the offices to run the electric. That will go around the back of this, and that will be the feed cable to the manifold close to the workshop.
Daniel? Michael, my brother, you are older than me. I'm stressed out. But I don't look as old as you. You haven't looked in the mirror lately. Where are you going?
I don't even want to tell you.
Yeah, go on, tell me. Go on. It's got to be funny. It's got to be YouTube or TikToker or something like that. You're going to get an award for being the funniest geezer on YouTube or iTube or B-tube or whatever it is.
If anyone was going to win an award like that, it'd be you, Michael. I'm actually up for an award at the Rail Awards.
The Rail Awards.
Yeah.
What would you know about rail? Well, the only thing you'd know about rail is when Thomas the Tank Engine, you were watching him on telly. And the Hornby train set you probably had when you were a kid. So what are you getting an award for?
No, I didn't say I was getting an award. I said I've been nominated for an award. I might not even win. I've been nominated. But I didn't see your name on the nominee list.
We are up for many awards. We've got cabinets full up. Tippers of the year, transfer station of the year, everything of the year.
Haircut of the year.
Oh, I know why you're getting a rail award, because you can pull the lever better than Michael.
I don't think there was a category for best switcher.
That's all you're going to get it for. But ours are electric. We don't have handles at ours. We press a button from our satellite room.
But if it's by satellite, then why is it electric?
Because John the electrician run a bit of wiring up to it. We've had more trains reverse into our yard than you've offloaded.
In all seriousness, just for the purposes of this exercise, for the people who don't know that you couldn't lay straight in bed and you're slippery and you don't often tell the truth in a conversation, they're like, do you actually have a rail yard?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
We have one of the biggest rail networks in North London.
Networks. So now you don't have a rail yard, you've got a rail network.
Yeah.
Is that alongside Network Rail or separate from Network Rail?
So they run side by side with us. They're not very good at it, but we try our best to help them. When they get a problem, they give me a shout.
Yeah, because you're probably the one causing the problem on the main line, causing near misses.
Only near miss we ever done was nearly missed breakfast time. That's about the near miss. This is Ashville Weekly, episode 296 or whatever it is.
Right. Okay. Right. It's actually this week's 205. But yeah. Okay. Who's counting anyway? Who's counting? I'm not counting.
Yeah. Who's watching?
Yeah.
No. I know. The only people that are watching it are people I know.
Right. Well. Do you know what, mate? Even if they watch to see you, at least they're watching.
And all the good comments are usually about me anyway. It's a pleasure talking to you once again. Good night and good evening.
Ta-ra. Little video here, Salesman Sam took on site earlier of one of our machines on hire loading one of our tippers. Very nice. We are ready for the morning for Sever Rail to come in and fit the waffle board on the track. Now I know and I can see that we do not have enough, so we're just going to try and do the areas which need immediate attention to ensure that it's safe and nobody slips. We want this yard to be the best rail yard in the country. I feel a bit like a drowned rat. I feel cold, but my ears are hot because I got drenched earlier. I don't know, and my throat hurts a bit, so normally that means I'm about to get ill. But it is what it is, and there are too many things going on for me to be ill and not be going to work. Thinking about how I'm going to work out what's going in the yard, keep all them lorries out working, and keep us busy, but with work which is profitable. It is the same thing that you think about the entire time. It's not the first time I've been trying to work this out, but we've gone for a bit of a rough patch. From what I hear, the entire industry has gone for a bit of a rough patch. That was not a great August, but it looks like things have started to get a little bit busier. We've got 100 meters of concrete on a day already next week. Scania have said Ollie's lorry, it needs a new diff. They're getting the diff delivered in the morning. Hopefully they can get the diff fitted tomorrow and Saturday, and we get that lorry back on Monday because we really need it. And the one in the repair bay, we poured water into it and the water poured straight back out at the bottom. We called Volvo and asked them if they know of any faults on those lorries with intercoolers, or if they know something that's happened in their workshop a number of times, and they said
No. They said from what we are listening to and seeing, you need a new engine.
Which isn't ideal. So we'll continue ripping and stripping with that tomorrow.
That's about right, Lexi. The length. It's all about the length.
Here we are in the dark of the night in a hotel car park, and we were successful. We've won an award. Tezza, show it off.
Put it in upside down.
Get it out, man.
Alright. Also, I drop it now and break it. You tell me what. Be more careful.
Look at that. We received a special award for our contribution to rail, bringing awareness to rail, which is an industry and sector which needs to grow and recruit new people into it. So we're very proud for that. It's 11 o'clock at night and we have to be in the yard at 4:30. So that's it for Thursday. Give us a wave. It's Friday morning. I'm in the yard. It's a couple of minutes to 6 and the weather is awful. The lads need to check the lorries irrespective of the weather, so glad a couple of them have got rain jackets, but some of them are still in shorts, so hopefully they don't get too wet and have to sit in wet clothes for the entire day, because that would be dreadful. But the lorries need to be checked fully before they go out on the road, and I also have had to get rid of my shorts and the long trousers are on. Didn't realise that at the end of yesterday we had 5 lorries bringing back sand so we could load up the volumetrics, because the amount of sand we're using at the moment, not bringing in the train, the tippers have to bring it back. But there was an accident and the road was closed, so the tippers had to turn around and come back empty without the sand. So now the 4 remaining volumetrics which we've got that are working have cement, water and stone, but no sand, and there are jobs which start at 8 o'clock. So it's a race against time for the tippers to go to the quarry, collect the material and bring it back, drop it on the deck, and the shovel to get it onto the lorries as quickly as possible, and then the lorries to head out to the job. So not an ideal start to the day, but these things are sent to try us and they happen. What can we do? Okay. Our sheeting along the back is working. Our lip is working. It's taking the water out. But what's happening is water is dropping just on the end of the slab here. And because the slope of the concrete goes this way with the sloping gradient, so all we need to do is put a lip on the end here, and that will stop the water running this way and staying there. But the roof itself is completely fine. Now I have no idea why I've been calling it Sever Rail. And the owner of the firm, Ben, he's never corrected me. It's Sever Rail. Sever. Pronounce it correctly, Daniel. The lads have arrived 20 minutes early, and it appears they brought the good weather with them. Now it's time to start the work on the track and get the waffle board installed. The lads at Sever Rail are doing a great job, all coming together. We don't have enough to finish, but we have enough to make it safe. Have to buy some more in the future and lay it down to complete this area. Look at that. Now, Liebe have arrived, and it's time to get the work done on the L860, which I was telling you about yesterday when I got absolutely drenched. Lads did a great job. Simon's here. Now Simon's got more work because they pointed out that it would be good to have yellow around the edge of where it drops down to the waffle board. So we'll probably have to use some of the non-slip paint, what Simon used to put the top coat on the weighbridge when we installed the walkway. More and more and more work going into the yard, just to get us operational. And as I keep saying, None of this generates any revenue whatsoever. And now we continue with the electrical work. The time is just gone 6:30 p.m. Everyone's gone home. I'm the only one in the yard. I'm looking around at the mountain of work that we've got to do. We've still got one more day, well, 2 more days in this week, but I don't want to ask everyone to work on Sunday again. However, I've got to look at it and see what I could possibly do here. The locomotive coming in on Monday is massive for us, and I really want to get this place looking a bit more tidy and functional. The car park will continue in the morning. We're going to slightly change the plan. We're going to move it out into this main area a little bit more, as long as there's space for 2 lorries to pass each other comfortably. And I'm going to split the car park. I'm going to have an office area, and then I'm going to have an area for the drivers and team who work in the yard, because the office staff, they get in slightly later in the day, and the drivers are here earlier and they leave earlier, and there's a lot of musical chairs and moving cars in and out, which is very counterproductive, and it can be annoying. We were where we were in the past, but I've got to try to rectify that with this temporary car park which I'm creating. And I'm going to section off this area. I'm going to have a row of blocks here. I'm going to have all the buckets just here, and I'm going to create a few parking spaces here for Terry, myself, my townie, and then I'll have guest parking, and then we should be up at the barriers you can see where pedestrians can enter the yard from the turnstile. All of this is going to have to be excavated. We've got a large pile of earth here from all the excavating on the track, excavating to do all of this work here, all the concrete underneath the workshop, and now we've got to dig out all of this area and dig down in the car park also, but we should be able to use it as a cut and fill when we end up doing the levels for the drainage. There is so much to do, and no matter how hard you hit it, there's another 50 things that need to be done right away after it. And that's it for Friday. It's Monday morning. Oh God. It's Saturday morning and I'm in the yard and I slept last night. I got 6 hours. So today I feel like I can conquer the world. We have started the work on the car park. We have 2 shovels going flat out trying to take the edge off this pile of earth. Looks like a bit of quarry work we're doing. Anyway, let's get on with this car park. Yesterday I was telling you about the pile of earth we have in the yard and why we need to keep it for the levels. The old yard is significantly higher than the new yard. And this basically means that all the water in that yard will come into this yard, which isn't right. Each yard should have its own drainage plan. There's a couple of options here. What would be extremely expensive is to build a retaining wall, but then we'll still have to find a way to cope with the water. We're gonna have to fill this with earth to put our new levels of drainage. It's key that we manage to deal with the rainwater in here and don't become a burden out onto the road or onto the golf course next door or onto the old yard. We're a long way away from that, but with the train coming in on Monday and the car park trying to be made, we need to start thinking about the next steps in building this yard up. Get all the lorries out working, get the yard to a point, and then we're gonna have to think about where the material's gonna go. We might have to start building up some material bays. We still have a few bays left in the old yard, which we are dismantling, but that is for the slate. It'd be handy if we had a big sail of slate and all the slate went out the door and we didn't have to move it, because you can see the ground isn't perfect in here. We have some sort of plan. It's going to take a while, but we're going to do our best to execute and get over the challenges which pop up hour to hour. Doing some housekeeping. A lot of trees on the main line coming over into the site and damaging the fence. So we're just doing a little bit of pruning, cleaning up as best we can, giving it a sweep. Once we've removed a lot of the vegetation, especially the stuff that's pushing against the fence, then we can try to straighten some of these fence panels, and a couple of them are missing bolts, and it means that somebody could enter the site. You can't completely stop someone from getting in, but you can obviously do everything in your power to ensure that you've done your job. The train line is looking fantastic, and the lads went over to the old yard into the car park, and they took all of the old cable we were using, wrapped it up and brought it down here, so we don't have to buy any more electrical cable. Had a measure up of how much more waffle board we need and how many of these fixings. My goodness, this stuff is so expensive. The lads are now going round to each of the lorries, removing any rubbish from the passenger footwells. Should have already been done, but you know, what can we say? If any lorry doesn't have diesel, we're filling it with diesel. We're loading for Monday. We're greasing cranes, and we're going around checking all of the wheel nuts to ensure on Monday morning we have tried to eradicate as many possible booby traps. It's been another week of fighting the good fight, doing everything we can in our power to push forward. Once again, we have moved forward, but I don't feel forward enough, and there is a long way to go. And sometimes where I think we need to get to, I realize it's going to be harder to get there, and there are other things which need to be done, and we may need to change some sequencing. But the important thing is that we're in the fight and we're trying to make it happen. And that's it for Ashville Weekly, episode 205. Click here for the Ashville website. Click here to subscribe to our channel. Click down here for an Ashville video you may not have seen before, and click over by Dudek for last week's episode, which was number 204. This gear's so expensive. Oh.